We talked about Hidden Road, the $1 billion, $250 million Apple purchase back in April. Remember how big that news was at the time? But I want to say again that this is much bigger than anyone thinks. Look at the numbers. Over 300 of the world's best financial companies handle more than $3 trillion in transactions every year. How amazing. Okay, all of this has to do with XRP and the strength of the XRP system. This is precisely what Brad Garlinghouse meant to say. What makes me think this is a much bigger deal? It's all about what's been going on with Hidden Road. And to be honest, the name seems so right. Hidden Road has been doing things that aren't exactly breaking news, so no one has been paying attention to them. You have to look really hard to find out what steps they've been taking. This is also very important for Ripple because it has to do with a purchase. It really makes me think of Modeco. Do you remember when Ripple bought Modeco? That was really big. We talked about the banks that were involved and how big the deal was, but what really stood out was everything that happened between when Ripple announced the deal with Modeco and when it was officially closed. One big banking relationship followed the other. It looks like Hidden Road is going in the same direction that changes the game. This changes everything. There's a lot of talk about Hidden Road and we need to look into it. Let's talk about the big problem that nobody wants to talk about. Ripple paid a huge $1 billion to buy Secret Road for $250 million. What's the big deal? In fact, Hidden Road clears an amazing $3 trillion every year and works with more than 300 big clients. That's a very large size. Ripple's plan was to use this deal to boost its ROUSD stablecoin, which Hidden Road already uses as collateral, and make it easier for post-trade action to be added to the XRP ledger and Ripple payments. Thanks a lot to Smokedog for bringing this to our attention. The post-trade integration is going to change Ripple's environment right away, making it more efficient and open to new ideas everywhere. This is really big, right? Not just because they are making ROUSD bigger. That's great for ROUSD. But what about XRP? Now here's the deal. The value and number of a stablecoin have a direct effect on the blockchain it's based on. And the XRP ledger is ready to handle a big part of that action in this case. There are big changes going on here. Let's find out more about why this is bigger than it seems. The first question is why a Goldman Sachs executive is interested in a crypto purchase. Take a moment to think about that. The biased views were the ones who brought this to our attention. Every big institutional player is interested in it because it can reach so many people. In this case, we're talking about getting into the FX market. That's what this is all about. And Secret Road is at the center of it all. It's going under the radar just like its name says. But don't be fooled, it's huge. No need to worry about the $3 trillion a year or the 300 big clients. There's a lot more to it than those numbers show. Hidden Road is getting rid of a lot of stuff and helping customers in a way that's hard to fully understand. But there's more to it than just numbers. There's a lot more going on with Hidden Road than meets the eye. In this video, I'll talk more about that. First though, watch this short video. We also made our own digital asset platform, which we released in 2022, because we know that there are already a lot of platforms out there. As a group, one of the ideas we worked on from the start was this. We want to learn how to build a platform faster, but we also know that for it to be truly autonomous, it needs to be separate from Goldman's balance sheet. We told everyone in November that one of our main goals was to sell the company. A little more will likely be said about that, but for now our main goal is just to deliver that for next year. Then we'll talk about the kind of collateral movement piece again. For banks, intraday is very important. It may not be that interesting to this crowd, but it's very important for them. I mean, the amount of money that banks borrow every day is huge. So being able to make intraday effects like intraday repo markets, which we've already seen on a small scale, has a huge economic value. It saves you money, lowers your risk, and lets you move your cash to other areas. And access to cash across the company for other parts of the business, whether they deal with crypto or something else. That's the second part of the business. The third part is what I'd call classic banking. We have put money into a number of different institutions in the crypto asset environment, mostly around blockchain infrastructure, which is another word for public records. Managing those and staying close to them was all very strategic, and they really helped us move forward with our own vision for this space. As we've all seen in the market, there's been a lot more talk about potential M&A deals and IPOs. For example, Kraken and NinjaTrader just recently did this, and Ripple and Hidden Road did the same. And we've seen a lot more action in that space as well. So yeah, it's very busy. Goldman Sachs and other big names in trading are beginning to pay attention. That says a lot. There is more than one person who knows about this purchase. It's getting a lot of attention in the business world. Now that the sun is out, the waves are getting bigger. Let's look at what has happened since the news came out. Look at this story from King Solomon. Hidden Road was recently bought by Ripple and just got approval from FINRA. This changes everything, because Hidden Road can now give institutional clients prime brokerage clearing and financing services in fixed income assets that are compliant. With 300 institutional clients already signed up, this gives them a huge green light to use top-notch brokerage and funding services. That's not all. Don't forget about Abu Dhabi, where another big event happened on May 8th. Their plans have been given preliminary approval by ADGM. Important news. We also know more about their licenses and the places where they're allowed to work. This is a very important step not only for their growth but also for taking it to the next level. With this permission, they can now provide services that are fully compliant, so they don't have to worry about regulatory challenges. It changes everything for their business, and it's fun to see Hidden Road take risks like this. On May 29, they got more attention when they made another big step forward. In the U.S., Ripple's Hidden Road opened up over-the-counter OTC crypto swaps, which let institutions trade big digital assets for cash. All of this happened in April and May. The sale happened on April 8, and important things happened on April 17, May 8, and May 29. Let's read this interesting post from Jungle Inc. Ripple just made it easy for Wall Street to get into XRP. OTC crypto swaps for U.S. organizations are now possible after Ripple paid $1,250,000 to buy Hidden Road. In other words, quiet buildup can happen without making the charts jump around. Change the rules for XRP, of course. Even though these cash-paid swaps don't move coins on the chain, the risk to your money is very real, the kind that businesses and government agencies love. While assets aren't named, it's safe to say that Ripple owns the exchange and XRP is likely next in line. The catch is this. Hidden Road has a license from the UK, which lets it avoid SEC restrictions while still accepting US cash. You have to be very careful, not just about swaps. Silent, smooth, and sharp. It was almost meant for you not to notice. The banking superhighways of the future are being built by Ripple. Mika has a license in Europe and a FINRA license in the US. There is a full-stack plan in place. Price changes are likely if XRP becomes the main thing, but only after key spots are locked in. That's the power of equipment that you can't see. That's ahead of the curve for stores. Now is the calm before the storm. Institutions want access, and retailers want to follow trends. Ripple just gave them the master key. To put it another way, this is very important. This purchase wasn't just a business move. It changes things. The picture or hints don't show the whole picture. Pay close attention to these slow, quiet moves. Some people might not believe this and say, sure, it's big for Ripple, but what about XRP? Now here's the catch. XRP is what it's all about. These plans depend on XRP a lot. It's even linked to Hidden Road. When it comes to Medeco, that's not even the worst thing about ownership. When it comes to XRP and the XRPL, custody is the most important thing. It makes transfers possible without any problems. Zodiac Custody and Hidden Road have joined forces to create a new way to settle transactions that don't involve exchange. Don't worry if you don't know what Zodiac Custody is. You should. This cutting-edge digital asset manager was made by Standard Chartered with help from Northern Trust and SBI Holdings. Today it's making news by working with Hidden Road, a global credit network for businesses to make accessing digital assets safe and easy. Because of this partnership, business clients can now use a single safe provider for both prime brokerage and custody services. When you combine Zodiac Custody's interchange solution with Hidden Road's prime trading services, your digital assets will be safe and secure while counterparty risk is kept to a minimum. The best part is that clients keep full control of their assets and are better protected during payment obligations. This changes everything. A few key lines will help us understand it better. First, working together with Hidden Road is an important step toward building the market infrastructure that institutions need to grow into digital assets, while still following the strictest security, regulation, and compliance rules. That's straight from the CEO of Zodiac Custody, a company that stores digital assets and is backed by Standard Chartered, a big name in traditional finance. They also work with Northern Trust and SBI Holdings. Another thing to remember is that Standard Chartered was one of the first companies to invest in Ripple back in 2016. This is very big. The doors for institutions are finally beginning to open. Now that they work together with Hidden Road, institutional buyers can use prime brokerage services and interchange. This partnership makes it possible for people to access the endless chances that digital assets have to offer in a safer and more secure way. Hidden Road's goal is to give its clients the tools, partnerships, and integrations they need to trade easily in both standard and digital asset markets. With a strong regulatory system at its core, we're focusing on security, compliance, and scalability, which are the things that institutions value the most. Together, we can offerings that were controlled by the FCA. We're changing the way digital asset markets work and helping institutions grow. Working together with Zodiac Custody makes our credit network stronger by focusing on things we both care about, like trust and risk management. Large groups of institutions want to access digital assets and are ready to do so. It's not just an idea, we want to make academic DeFi a reality. And networks like the XRP Ledger,